Let's get ready to rumba. And the men go for gold from the '94 World Figure Skating Championships in Japan.
And Paul, there's also some drama in the ice dance event.
Our big news in the ice dance competition. Yesterday in practice, last year's bronze medalist Angelika Krylova, partner of Vladimir Fedorov of Russia, fell, broke her arm, necessitating their withdrawal from this competition. They were in a fourth-place tie, but it's going to be this original dance which breaks the tie for 7th, which involves our own Shae-Lynn Bourne and Victor Kraatz. They could be 6th, they could be 8th. Those placements are there for the taking. And as we watch Grishuk Platov warming up, we'll be back with the original ice dance competition in a moment. Here are the major parameters within which the original dance must take place. Unlike the compulsory dance, which have only 1 mark, this original dance has 2, 1 for composition and 1 for presentation. This part of the competition accounts for 30% of the total, with the compulsory dances accounting for 10% each, and tomorrow night's ever-popular free dance worth 50%.
Oksana Grishuk, Evgeni Platov, Russia, number 27, representing Russia.
Well, here are the Olympic gold medalists, Oksana Grishuk and Evgeni Platov, looking for their first world title. And they have the lead after the 2 compulsory dances. They were 3rd in the rumba at both the Europeans and the Olympics, which might suggest this is not their best dance.
Well, it may not have been their best dance in those 2 competitions in light of who they were competing against. When you factor in the retirement of Torvill and Dean, the fact that Usova Zhulin are not here, it's likely that this will come out as the #1 rumba in this competition.
As Jean mentioned, to reflect the character of this dance, you must continually be moving around each other.
Quest for their first world championship title, and like their teammate Alexei Urmanov, they had a most surprising year in that they became, like him, Olympic champions before ever achieving a world championship title.
Be the best of the day, as you said, Paul, but when I think back to the Olympics, I always remember the original dance of Torvill and Dean. It came across as a rumba. It was expressed so well. I find with this team, it lacked a little bit of intimacy.
I spoke with French coach Danielle Maritel today. She works with Moniotte Lavanchy. She says this is the toughest rumba technically that you'll see in the competition.
Well, I think this team has come on as quickly and as strongly as they have because of their speed and flow, and they certainly carried that throughout this dance.
And the marks come up very quickly here. And the composition marks 5, 6s, 7s, and 8s, and they'll be tough to beat.
5-7. Thank you. Presentation.
And now the presentation marks, and there's 5 8s and 3 5 9s, and they now are in first place, and that is hardly surprising. Grishuk and Platov with coach Natalia Linachuk. ISU judge Gene Sept has more on the rumba in the Royal Bank. Gene Sept.
The rhythm for the original dance this year is the rumba, and it must have the character of the ballroom dance on the floor. This presents a challenge because the rumba in the ballroom tends to be more of a static dance with the couple positioning around each other. So to move the dance across the ice and keep the rumba flavor intact requires some skill and ingenuity. The movement of the rumba in the ballroom shows a subtle hip action that is discreet but expressive. It's not a swinging of the hips, as in the samba, but rather a controlled motion, stemming from the bending and straightening of the knees. This is not an easy movement to transfer to the ice. However, on the ice, judges will look for highlights where this hip action is expressed. Often, it's during a stop, where the couple moves around each other as they would in the ballroom, and the man has a chance to show off the woman. 2 stops are permitted this year in the rumba, and most couples will take advantage of this to portray the rumba character. The dance should have an elegance to its movement. While there's a flirtatious quality about it, the rumba is dignified. Mostly, the upper body is relaxed and quiet. Judges watch for moments of skating face to face because the rumba is a dance of communication between the partners. As in all ice dancing, strong edges performed on 1 foot is important. 2-foot skating should be kept to a minimum, and the flow of the dance should be maintained. When watching these rumbas, look for the softness in the knees and the strength and fluidity of movement. Strong, deep edges are still important, as in all ice dancing, but in the good rumbas, you should be able to spot moments which highlight the dance's flavor and say to you that, yes, indeed, this is a rumba. Chris?
Well, the first team you saw in Gene's piece on the rumba, Romanova and Yaroshenko from Ukraine. They're next when we return to the '94 Worlds in Japan. Back in Japan, continuing our coverage of the original dance, the rumba. And here are one of the fastest rising skaters in ice dance, Ukrainian champions Irina Romanova, Igor Yaroshenko, were tied for 4th after the compulsory dances with Krylova Fedorov before the arm injury to Angelika Krylova forced that team to withdraw.
Well, now that Krylova and Fedorov are out of this particular world championship, it's got this team in a position that they're really knocking on the door of the top 3 places to get on that podium. Stops that the dancers are allowed in this year's original dance.
The rumba. I think they do it very well. They also carry a good deal of speed throughout the dance, but I think that may be because the steps aren't very intricate, or as intricate as some of the others.
Irina Romanova and Igor Yaroshenko from Ukraine.
Well, as you mentioned, Chris, this team is from the Ukraine. Another example, this team is another example of some talent that we might never have seen had the breakup of the Soviet Union not occurred. I think for skating fans around the world, it's great, but there has been a lot of people say that because of the breakup, we've had huge influx of numbers in the entries, and it's created a problem. But that's just a problem that the International Skating Union is going to have to work out.
Their marks when we come back.
Yaroshenko. Composition 5-5, 5-4, 5-5.
Welcome back to Japan, where the first set of marks for Romanova and Yaroshenko are coming up. 5-4s and 5s. She's originally from Odessa. Has that not been a prolific city for producing talent in recent years? Second set of marks of 5-6 from Estonia. And others in second place marks right across the panel.
5-5. Thank you.
Canada's Shae-Lynn Bourne and Victor Kraatz are up next, a young team that is already the most innovative in the competition.
We're trying to take the risk of showing different levels of skating, and it makes it more athletic because we're always going up and down. And sometimes ice dancing people don't consider a sport, and we want to show it's athletic art. It can be both athletic and an artistry. So that's what we're trying to put into it. So we have this new thing called hydroblading, where we wear the hand guards and go right to the ice, and we practically kiss it. And it's just to become more comfortable with the edge and to trust yourself. And it's just bringing more athletic to this.
It gives you a different perspective as a skater. Usually when you skate, you always have like sort of the horizontal view, but all of a sudden when you're down horizontally to the ice, it gives you a whole different perspective. The ice surface seems to be bigger, and you have like, it's a different feeling, because all of a sudden if you look down at your skate, you see the blade running on such an edge that you think, well, I'm really literally skating on the edge, like it can go any minute, but that's the thrill of maybe not making it to the end, just wiping out. But that's what makes it fun, I think, and that's what I think gives us the drive of striving further for new ideas, and I think we're well off.
Well, the hydroblading has not only helped their skating, but certainly brought them more attention and awareness, and in ice dance, that's part of the game for Shae-Lynn Bourne and Victor Kraatz in their fast rise. 9th in the first compulsory dance, 7th in the tango, so they are tied for 7th overall. Remember, they were 14th at last year's World Championship, so it's been quite a move up the ladder. Shae-Lynn Bourne and 23-year-old Victor Kraatz, the Canadian champions.
Well, it was certainly a performance that I felt held this entire building spellbound throughout. It was very quiet. By nature, the Japanese are, but even our own Canadians, and there are a lot of them here, were really into the moment, really into the performance.
Marks for Bourne and Kraatz when we return to Japan.
Bourne and Kraatz. Composition 5-2, 5-2.
We're back in Japan, and they're just posting the first set of marks for Bourne and Kraatz. 5-2s up to 5.5 from the Estonian judge, so that's a nice sign. Mentioned Danielle Maritel, the coach of the French team, who told me earlier today she thought this was the best rumba artistically. Look at the second set. A second-place mark from Estonia, a third-place mark, and 3 fourth-place marks, so they have moved ahead of Goolsby, Schomburger, and Marisol Simicek.
Susanna Rahkamo, Petri Kokko, Finland, number 34.
Here are the Finnish champions, Susanna Rahkamo, Petri Kokko in third place after the compulsory dances, trying to win Finland's first world skating medal since 1933.
Well, I talked to Petri yesterday, and he sounded somewhat frustrated with the results after the compulsories. They were 4th at the Olympics, and with the retirement of Torvill Dean and Usova Zhulin, they should really be sitting in 2nd place, but they're in 3rd.
Well, Barb, I think that's an example of protocol judging logic in effect. All of these dancers have been so programmed to just 2 people bumping up, so you automatically move up 2 spots. And it's not going that way any longer, and it's great to see.
Grishuk Platov, it just doesn't have the difficulty, and that's simply because of the footwork. If you watch the feet, they're just not moving as quickly. Performance, but in terms of difficulty, Paul, I'd have to put this definitely behind Grishuk Platov, and we'll see what Moniotte and Lavanchy have to go against this.
The popular Finnish champions, Rahkamo Kokko.
Well, Barb, it's nice to see that this original dance truly is going to stand for something in this standings. Not only is it going to break up the tie situation, but I think it's going to put all of these skaters in a position going into the free dance.
We'll have their marks when we return to Japan.
Composition 5-5, 5-5, 5-6.
We're back at the Makahari Event Hall. Susanna Rahkamo, Petri Kokko getting their first set of marks, 5-5s and 6s at the Olympics. 2 judges, one from Great Britain, the other from Ukraine, gave them higher placements in the Rumba than Grishuk Platov. Second set of marks up to 5-8s, but right across the judging panel, second place ordinals behind the Olympic champions.
5-8, 5-6, 5-7, 5-7, 5-7, 5-8, 5-7, 5-6, 5-7. Thank you.
Well, here are the final skaters in the original dance. Sophie Moniotte, Pascal Lavanchy of France. They are in second place and have matured into medal contenders this year. And we've mentioned that they seem to be in that battle for silver right now against Rahkamo Kokko.
And again, the draw has worked out well here because the judges, with these skaters being back-to-back, can really compare the two dances.
As I've been watching these rumbas, it seems inevitable that the woman always ends up getting the more difficult series of steps to execute. Very rarely do you see the gentleman have to execute any of the difficult twizzles that are expected of the women.
Well, that happens in Paris too, doesn't it? Kokko. It's a little wilder. I find expression-wise, it's a little bit of oversell. It should be a little bit more controlled. Lacks a little bit of polish, but I'm not sure which way the judges are going to go here.
At the Olympic Games, they went with Rahkamo Kokko ahead of Moniotte and Lavanchy, but the momentum has been with the French team here at the World Championships.
Well, when you compare it back to, say, Shae-Lynn and Victor's, certainly a sharp contrast in styles and interpretation.
Well, Shae-Lynn and Victor was the only dance of the day that really had the audience sitting there in silence. You could have heard a pin drop in here.
And we'll return with the marks for Moniotte and Lavanchy after this. Marks in the original dance, and the judges taking a little extra time. That's Daniel Maritel in the middle. And 5, 5, 6s and 7s for the French champions. We say one of their keys this year is they're just tougher competitors this year, now that they are within reach of the medal podium. And the second set of marks, 5, 6s, 7s, and 8s. They have 7 seconds, 2/3, so they have overtaken Rahkamo Kokko here and are in second place. The standings, Grishuk Platov first, Moniotte Lavanchy in second ahead of Rahkamo Kokko. The Ukrainians are fourth, and moving into sixth position, Shae-Lynn Bourne and Victor Kraatz of Canada. And they are standing by with Brian Williams.
Thank you, Chris. Just 2 Canadians competing in the dance, of course, Shae-Lynn and Victor, but they've created the excitement of 3 or 4 pairs. They're the talk of the dance world, 14th at the Worlds in Prague last year, 10th at the Olympics, 6th here tonight. You have made an amazing advance.
Yes, certainly what we did throughout the year paid finally off. Certainly there's lots of, we're getting better technically. We have to work a bit more in expression, but we're getting there. And I think tonight it showed that, the judges and people in the audience are accepting us as, who we are.
Jean Senft in her feature talked about the rumba being a dance of communication, yet there's no talking. You communicate with your eyes.
Well, that's what we've always done by feeling mainly, and it starts with the eyes, so that's where we connect. And then from that point on, we just dance.
Boy, you connected tonight. All right, the buzz is about the free program tomorrow. As I say, you've excited everyone here. What can we expect?
Well, certainly it's going to be an athletic art program. We want to bring into the dance more an athletic approach, and Shae-Lynn and I would just hope that it's being accepted as what it is. It's athletic art, and that's our main goal.
Well, you've put on quite a show. Shae-Lynn Bourne, Victor Kraatz, congratulations. Good luck tomorrow night.
Thank you very much.
Tonight we're going into the free dance final. Let's go to our Olympic ice dance judge, Jean Semp, to find out why controversy always seems to surround ice dance judging. Jean?
Well, Barb, judging ice dancing is not easy, and it's not easy for the audience to understand either. And part of that reason, I think, is because we're not looking for things as obvious as whether a jump is landed or it's not landed. We're looking for speed across the ice surface, and unfortunately that doesn't come across on television, good speed or lack thereof. We're looking for edges, for difficult footwork, unison, flow, glide, how the couple expresses the music, all things that are specific to ice dance judges but are less definable and less understandable. I think we do need to do a continuing job of educating the public on what ice dance judges are looking for. Chris?
Well, Jean, our scorecards are ready, and Canadians Bourne and Kraatz are getting ready for their free dance, a team with the look of future champions.
Well, it's strange. When I get on the ice, I feel like another person. Not so much like another person, but I'm opening up because I'm doing something I love to do. And I feel so free, and I have so much control out there that, you know, nothing can hurt me when I'm out there because I know what I'm doing. And I just want to show everyone how good we are, you know, and just do the best we can do, because I don't know, I just feel like a free spirit, you know, and I just try to get into my character or whatever, and I don't know how to explain it. It's just a feeling you get.
I don't know, I just feel I'm the same person basically on and off the ice. I just, you know, sometimes I'm lost on the ice, like you know, and when I drive around, I just take same roads over and over and over, but I'm just the same person. Maybe I'm more determined on the ice for the simple reasons because I've been doing this for a short period of time, but I think I'm pretty good at it, and I think having Shae-Lynn as somebody that is always challenging me helps me so much further, and I feel very comfortable out there. I like the power, I like the drive, I like, you know, skating together in a team, and I think the determination, never having had the chance of having gone to Junior Worlds or any other international and having left some kind of a mark, that's what makes me strive even further. You know, certain days, you know, it doesn't go that well, and then Shae, you know, sets in and she goes, okay, let's do it. You know, we have been training for this every day, and we always say skating is supposed to be fun. If it's not fun, why are we here? You know, we worked hard. And I think I'm just the same person. It's Shae that usually changes from on the ice and off the ice. You know, like she says, she has like, she's almost in peace with herself when she's skating.
Well, it's strange because I feel like once I'm on the ice, it's like a challenge to see how many people I can get to watch us, and just to look at them straight in the eye and see if they're looking, and try to allure them into our performance.
Well, their look has been a big hit with the judges this week, and so was the hydroblading exhibition they put on this morning. The last dance of a remarkable season for Shae-Lynn Bourne and Victor Kraatz in 6th place.
Well, I think you'll see several examples of where they put this hydroblading to work in the free dance. Here's one right here. Look at how low she gets. edge quality, and we talk about that so much. The best way to describe it is that when others skate past us, we can almost always hear their edges. When Shae-Lynn and Victor skate past us, you can't hear a thing, and that's because their knees are absorbing the edge instead of fighting it.
That they've just executed, which display a great degree of strength and control. To get down that low to the ice and bring yourself right back up again demonstrates that their hydroblading is working on their strength and power as well as their edge quality.
Well, it's nice to see a team skating at different levels. It's what makes them unique, what sets them apart, and I think it's what's going to bring them right to the top.
There's Victor's mom along with Mrs. Stoiko cheering them on. What a great year for Shae-Lynn, Bourne, and Victor Kraatz.
Well, Shae-Lynn and Victor must be absolutely thrilled with the way this season has gone. Last year they were 14th at the World Championships, and they go to the Olympic Games with Usova Zhulin and Torvill Dean in the field and finish 10th, and things are looking even better for them here tonight.
Their marks when we return.
4, thank you. Artistic impression.
And now the artistic marks, and they go up 5 first-place ordinals. They have seconds from France and Hungary, and 2/3 from Ukraine and Belarus. So for the time being, they are in first place and consolidate their hold on 6th overall. Well, the final group is waiting to take the ice. Barb mentioned edge quality. Next, Jayne Torvill tells us what to look for in the quality of edges in the Royal Bank judges' seat. Now here's ISU judge Jayne Torvill.
The free dance is the third part of the dance competition. It counts for 50% and is a good chance for the judges to see if the skaters can really dance. Here, the power of the edge is extremely important. Knee action, strength of stroke, natural flow and glide are all factors tied into edge control and ones that need to be evaluated. Judges look for edges that have a true deep quality to them. Here's a couple whose edges are not strong. They appear to be skating more on top of the ice as opposed to being down into it. Note the lack of depth to this edge. By contrast, this couple carves their edges deeply into the ice. Their natural lean also enhances the strength and quality of their edge. Some couples have developed their own training techniques to improve and strengthen edges. Here's Canada's Shae-Lynn Bourne and Victor Kraatz performing an exercise that pushes their own parameters around edge control. This in turn allows them to take those edges into the free dance and create unique movements as a result. Judges watch for edges that have a running glide to them. This allows the speed and the flow to be maintained much more readily than if the edges were scraped, forced, or even riding on the toe of the blade. Judges also watch that both partners use their edges in an equal way. It's unbalanced if one partner does most of the work. The ideal is for both skaters to be of equal ability, as seen here, and to share the technical difficulty of the footwork. There's more to evaluating the free dance than just edges. However, it is the edges that give the free dance its feeling of maturity and control. If the edges are strong, then the technical component of the dance is strong, and the skaters can then concentrate on creating the artistic experience we all look forward to in a free dance. Chris?
Well, Gene, that will help us discern the best of the top 5 teams. And speaking of the best, Oksana Grishuk, Evgeni Platov will have them and the final group when we return to Japan. Here's New York rise at these championships. Tatiana Navka and Samuel Gazelian of Belarus. They're actually Ukrainian-born skaters. Once competed for Russia and trained in Lake Placid. They're in 5th place.
Already what I like about this team is that they've demanded my attention. They've got a presence about them that makes you take notice and watch.
I'm sure that comes from their coach, Natalia Dubova, who's also the coach of Maia Usova and Alexander Zhulin, who have chosen not to be here.
Sign of good coaching and choreography when the music suits and is tailored to the style and technical ability of the skater. This music sounds big, portrays power, and I think that's what they're doing out there. Barb, you can ask any performer and they'll tell you that you're only as good as your backup band. And for anybody who skates, your backup band is your music. And I think this team has made a great selection with the 3 pieces of music that they are skating to tonight.
Well, they certainly commanded the ice well. They commanded my attention and yours as well, Paul. I think it's a team that is going to be around for a number of years, and I think it's a team that's going to be rivals with our Canadian team, Shae-Lynn, Bourne, and Victor Kraatz for a long time to come.
And somebody that agrees with you is Natalia Dubova. She says she's very impressed with Bourne and Kraatz, and she looks forward to the rivalry in the years ahead. We'll have the marks for Navka and Gazelian when we return. Natalia Dubova welcoming her team off the ice at Navka and Gazelian as the first set of marks are being posted here. 5-4s and 5-5s, the best technical marks we've seen so far. This is a team that won back in '91 at Skate America, but never got a chance at major internationals because of the depth of Russian skating. Second set of marks, and they have 7 firsts, 2 seconds. Those 2 seconds are behind Bourne and Kraatz, but Navka Gazelian are now the leaders.
22番、Susanna Rahkamo、ペトリコッコ組、フィンランド。
Well, the very popular Finnish champions, Susanna Rahkamo, Petri, Kokko, they are third at the moment, looking for their first ever world medal and their country's first in 61 years in what might be their last amateur competitive skate.
Well, this is one of the only teams that has chosen a theme for their free dance. And here they are portraying 2 tramps facing another day on the streets and bringing us into their world.
It deserves.
that always stands out from the rest.
They have an ability to bring something different to the ice that nobody else has to offer. And although they've expressed some disappointment in the fact that Moniotte and Lavanchy have jumped ahead of them here, I can remember how thrilled they were to be on the verge of winning their first European medal in Helsinki a year and a half ago. And I'm sure they'll be equally thrilled if they can capture a bronze medal at these World Championships.
Well, they always have very unique lifts. That's one thing that I like about this team. But I think what may keep them in third spot is the fact that the free dance is not as difficult as the top two. They keep their speed well, but it's because the steps aren't as difficult.
They've always been a joy to watch. We'll have their marks when we return.
5-7.
Well, they continue to clear the ice here. No surprise that a Rahkamo Kokko performance will be that well received. The Canadian pen has sent them a souvenir, and the marks 5 6s and 7s. Technically,
they're always a crowd favorite. I think that's because they have that ability to reach out and grab the audience.
And the artistic marks up to 5/8. First place mark so far from all 9 judges for this brilliant couple from Helsinki.
Thank you. Number 23.
Well, in ice dance in the 1994 World Championships, it's been fun to talk about young couples on the rise. And here is another, the Ukrainian champions, Irina Romanova and Igor Yaroshenko. They're in 4th place and trying to catch the Finns for a medal.
Well, I think when you look at the results from this World Championship ice dance competition, one should not forget the withdrawal of Krylova Fedorov. They were tied with this team in 4th place before she had a bad fall in practice, broke her arm, and was forced to withdraw. And they'll most certainly go back into the equation next year. That I do enjoy the way the ice dancers have the ability to take you from watching a couple of tramps hanging out on the street to moving inside to a little cabaret action.
I find this one rather generic. It's nothing that really stands out and grabs my attention. I feel like I've seen all of this before.
Well, again, it's a question of taste. Obviously, Natalia Linenchuk felt that this was a program best suited for this particular couple. I thought it was well skated, perhaps not as involving as Rahkamo Kokko, but a strong performance.
Irina Romanova and Igor Yaroshenko of Ukraine. 7th at the Olympic Games and last year's Worlds will get their marks when we come back. And the technical merit marks for Romanova Yaroshenko are being posted by 5s and 6s from the judging panel. That's Gennady Karponosov. And now the artistic marks, 8 second-place ordinals and 1 third. And that third is behind Bourne and Kraatz, who do have a second-place mark. Romanova Yaroshenko currently in second with 2 couples to go. Here are the Olympic champions, and it all began with this free dance in Copenhagen at the European Championships. It left quite an impression. They went on to win the Olympic free dance and the gold medal, now in pursuit of their first world championship.
And if you're wondering why this will be the #1 free dance, just watch their feet move and watch all of the different positions. They're constantly changing positions while at the same time doing the difficult footwork. That's what set this teams apart.
Well, they performed this free dance brilliantly at Europeans in a fine come-from-behind victory, and that's not off to a very good start. Evgeni seemed to have lost an edge, and I was about to say that at the Olympic Games, it was a rather ragged performance, and their exuberance here perhaps might have cost them at that particular point.
that this free dance was almost skated better here than it was at the Olympic Games, and there will be a very minor deduction for the fall simply because it was so quick. It did not interrupt the flow of the dance at all.
Oksana Grishuk, Evgeni Platov. But the fall does seem to have dampened the enthusiasm of the crowd here. This free program usually received with more enthusiasm.
And there you saw his right inside edge. He seemed to hit his toe pick, and down he went.
Can you win world gold with a fall in the free dance? We'll find out when we return.
5-8, 5-7.
Oksana and Evgeni coming off the ice, 5 7s and 8s from 8 of the 9 judges. Bulgaria seems to have tacked on an extra deduction for the fall. There's Natalia Lenichuk.
It looks like they probably took about a 0.1 deduction, but these next set of marks will definitely go up.
5 8s and 9s for the team that's followed the same course as Elvis Stoico. Bronze 2 years ago at the World, silver last year, and hoping to have the gold that Elvis won last night. Final skaters hoping for their first medal, the French national champions, Sophie, Moniotte, Pascal, Lavanchy, kind of surprised to be in a position to win a medal here. And after the fall, I wonder if they're thinking, hey, maybe we can skate for gold.
Well, I'm not sure if they have seen the fall of Grishuk Platov, but back at the European Championships, they fell twice on this dance, and since then, this dance has really evolved, and they've really grown into it. They got their inspiration for it from watching Fred and Ginger movies, and did all of the choreography themselves.
As I've enjoyed these free dances here tonight, I must say that as I sit on the platform watching them, I certainly miss the anticipation of the will they or won't they aspect of the other 3 disciplines of figure skating.
created an identity for themselves. It's very difficult, and that's because it keeps moving. It's very continuous. It flows nicely. There's great speed, and I think it's a great free dance.
It is a good free dance, Barbara. I'll agree with you there, but it's certainly not good enough to catch Grishuk Platov. I think it's the second-place performance of the evening, and in keeping with the scoring of tonight's free dance, there hasn't been a change in the top 19 positions in this competition.
Sophie Moniotte and Pascal Lavanchy, the French champions, and we'll have their marks when we come back to Japan.
5-7, 5-8, 5-7, 5-7.
And the marks for
5-7,
Moniotte, Lavanchy posted 5-7s and 8s. More technical merit.
5-8.
They've had the busiest schedule of all the ice dancers, starting with wins at Skate Canada and Skate America, the second set of marks, and the artistic not as high as Grishuk Platov. 2 firsts, 7 seconds, and there's a silver medal hug from their coach, Danielle Marital. Despite the ball rush, Grishuk Platov win their first world championship. France the silver, Finland the bronze, a 6th-place finish for.
The great strength you both showed tonight, physical strength out there.
Yeah, I think that's one of our goals. We want to put the athleticism back into the sport so that the young people say, okay, maybe we would like to do dance, you know, and it is fun. It's, you know, being on the edge, that's what counts. And if you wipe out, that's part of it, and it's a sport.
Stay with us. We'll wrap it up as we will return to the 1994 World Figure Skating Championships here in Japan right after this.